Okay, so if it's a positive thing that people feel like they're getting rewarded by telling the story, what about the negative? What if somebody is being called a nutter, but they keep telling the story? You know, it's a negative thing, you're feeling bad, you know, everyone thinks I'm nuts, and yet people persist in telling the story.
Yeah. No one likes to have their personal integrity questioned. And so if they believe something and they truly believe it at the core, and they think it's valuable to society, then they're likely to keep going. Or if they've got another motive, an ulterior motive, then they may also keep going. But it's very hard to put up with that negativity thrown at you for something that you believe to be true on an ongoing basis. So the difference there is that the people who are telling you that it's a negative thing, that you're a nutter, you don't give any respect to, you don't hold their opinion as a respectful, valuable opinion. So an example of my partner and I were out on the road, we saw the Knive River in Tasmania. He points it out to be the Nine River in Tasmania. I say no, I think it was the Knive. He's a credible source of information who he usually believes, but his eyesight told him that it was the Nine because that's what the visuals look like. How do you then reconcile that in your own mind? And so it is very difficult if it's a credible source to you, but if the people who are saying that you're a nutter are not a credible source, then you're going to hang on to your own belief and keep going.
So what about somebody who is a contrarian who might actually enjoy the negative attention? Because it's still attention, isn't it?
It is. And I guess I touched on that a moment ago in the previous answer by saying there is times there's an ulterior motive. And some people find a lot of value out of attention. And that could be for any number of reasons in their background, and I'd hate to try and analyse that for you without a case study. But certainly the attention is something that is valuable to all of us in different ways, and in the way that you're talking about, it can be valuable to people of higher value perhaps than giving a truthful or completely truthful story.
Okay, so sometimes we get the case where somebody is talking about this intimate relationship with thylacines, where they see them all the time, or they feed thylacines. They'll say to us, look, you know, they're at our back door all the time. It's not just a sighting, it's a regular part of their life.
Yeah.
Obviously they're either lying or they're delusional. I mean, how does that happen?
Or they're on to a bit of a winner for whatever reason they have, that attention grabbing.
I suppose going down this sort of delusional road, if you like, because probably not just thylacines, but there are a lot of like cryptid hunters and things like that, and you realise that their parents were into it, or their uncles are into it, and now they're into it, and it's almost like a religion. So that can kind of happen too.
Look, if it is a personality trait, we all know that many personality traits are handed down from generation to generation. So if it's something that the person or people that you're thinking of at the moment have got that as a part of who they are, then it may be something that has passed down. And they've picked up on it from their parents as well, been taught about it, been taught this is how you function in society.
Okay, so the thing with thylacine is that it is a real animal. We've got historical evidence, we've got pelts, we've got skeletons, we've got footage even of the thylacine, so we know it was actually a real animal that existed here. And so it's not too much of a stretch, I think, to sort of say, well, maybe they're out here. I think where our group differs from others is that we don't actually believe that it's here, we just acknowledge the fact, well, maybe it's possible. However, somebody who believes, a true believer in thylacine, could that belief system there move on into other things, say like yowies, where there is no hard science to say that yowies exist. We don't have footage of them, we don't have museum specimens, we don't have anything like that, you know, 20th century or even, you know, ever, of yowies being here.
Yeah.
So
It's a mythological
I guess what I'm
creature.
asking is belief in thylacine a gateway belief, a gateway drug to believe in UFOs and Bigfoots and psychic readings and every other strange belief that could be out there?
Look, I think there's a couple of ways of looking at this again. You've got people who can absolutely be science-based and open to the possibility that we don't know. We can't say 100% that every single thylacine has been removed from the wilderness of Tasmania, but come with it from a scientific perspective. We like to think of those people as open-minded, and it's one of the 5 personality factors that we look at when we look at personality. Open-mindedness can be open-mindedness to other beliefs that don't necessarily have visual proof of those being available right now, but can still be looked at in a scientific way. I think there might be a big leap from that to your mythological creatures like a yowie though, because the scientific view or the reality view of the world in that way with an open-minded view may not necessarily jump that far. But then you do have other types of personalities and people who'd like to be able to think. Perhaps they'd be a little more open-minded than those of us from the scientific community who like to believe that there is other things in this world that are not perceptible to all of us and have never been, and yet they may still exist. And that's where your mythological creatures and other stories like that would come into play. I don't think being an open-minded, scientific or evidence-based person necessarily leads you into the other side, the other type of personality that is open to these other beliefs.
Yeah, well, I guess I wasn't really talking about the scientific-based person. I'm talking about, say, like with thylacine, there are those who have a belief system more than a scientific view on it. And with that belief system, like when I say gateway drug, you take a little step there, then do you take the next step, and the next step, can you, I mean, we get people now who believe the world is flat. So
yeah,
how'd they get there?
Yeah, I would still say that it's the belief that the open-minded, I'm trying to be quite diplomatic in saying this, the open-minded view of the possibility or the belief that creatures that people haven't seen do exist, and that could include the thylacine for that category of people, as well as any number of other creatures that we don't have any history, we don't have any proof on. So I do think that there's a challenge there in not necessarily categorising everybody who believes there might be thylacines out there into the same group, because some of them will have it as just a by faith, by belief, by wanting to believe, rather than by, well, it's possible because we haven't been all over the wilderness and we have other evidence that might suggest that they may have survived in small numbers.
All right, bringing it back just to me.
Okay.
When I am home, when I go into town, do the shopping, when I'm in communities, I just sort of, we have this score on, the probability, and my score on thylacine is down very, very low when I am in a more civilised place. When I go out in the bush, especially a remote area, when I'm with Chris or with Woz, and we are searching, I feel this anticipation that I could see one just, I'm sort of looking, and it's vast, and you realise that nobody's really searched this properly. Am I in danger of hallucinating?
Not hallucinating so much unless you've taken some odd medications that morning, but no, I think it's more of a case of that misperception that we started the interview with, that you may be in danger of seeing something that indicates or has similarities to now what it is that you really want to see. Your motivation's there, your emotions there, you've got almost an expectation, and that would be a very normal thing for anyone. I imagine you get tourists all over Tasmania waiting to be the person who sees the thylacine, because there is that excitement and emotion behind it. So if you saw a flicker of a quoll run in the background, there's differences in your perception of depth, there's context, there's emotion, there's a reconstruction, and the flicker of light. There's a whole range of things playing in there that you could then see, and your brain fills in the gaps, as we talked about, and gives you the impression that you have just seen a thylacine.
Yeah, I know on the skeptometer, when I haven't been in the bush for a few days, it probably goes down to about 1, but when I go away out in the wilderness, it almost goes up to 5, you know, while I'm out there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's interesting. It's a very normal reaction for anybody because of that whole excitement.